Tempter, greetings. Abdul Kul Shaywa Biwa Samus Tempter. I am Chief Nanya Minwa Kairi Elbe of the Kairi Elbe clan on the island Kairi, misnomer called after the corporation set up here, Trinidad and Tobago. Right, so this casual talks with Grassroots Chief Part 2. We're just gonna go right into it. But before we go into it, I just like to just touch a little bit on some things I think I should clear up. Because the misconceptions, clearing up the misconceptions will help the message go across quickly, as it is a message in all its essence, and it's to affect the algorithm and to get the awareness of the people to critical mass. Yeah. So one of the things is some people were saying in the comments, oh, you have a real hard fight and this and that, and look out for people coming to kill you and law enforcement and all that type of thing. All right. So what people need to understand is this. Based on, and I'd see if I could do some screen sharing here so I could give. So some of you who was in the comments who know that I put some evidence in the comments, but okay, so I do have access to that double share screen feature. So you know, just do it by paper, some paper here, and we give some references so you can do some research. That's right. What I want to let people know basically is there is no need. There is no need for no fight or none of that thing like that. This document here is called the United Nations Declarations on the Rights of Indigenous People. All right? Issued by the United Nations, yeah? This document basically gives me every right to say what I said the other day in the video when I had my headrest on, and again in the explanation video, because we're not asking anybody for anything. You know, a right is something that you have inherently inalienable. You understand, that no one could take away from you. You don't need to ask anybody permission for it. You don't need to verify nobody, notify nobody, so that they can verify that you could do that. It doesn't operate like that. What this is this goes against, and big up to all law enforcement agencies, by the way, because when law enforcement gets to learn, because most of the law enforcement on this island, they look like me and you, right? So when they get to learn that they're actually indigenous and these things actually apply to them as well once they declare the status, right, they will overstand. And some police officers give respect to them who already know of us and give us our respect wherever we go and we meet those, right? Some of them already know, but the majority of them, when they get to find out that the United Nations already gave up, they didn't give us back anything, they gave up, because they belong to the group of people who was, since ancient times, stealing lands from the indigenous peoples, right? So this was issued in 2008, right? And it is littered with information for the indigenous people. So that's one thing. So it's not a fight. It has nothing to do with how people that overstand something, right? A video in editing and media, right? Our video is edited. It creates, you can take a snippet and create a whole things like deep fake and things do exist. So you can take a video and make it some away when, if you take it as a whole, you'd hear everything in context. So I guess it was taken out of context by a lot of people because a lot of people lack the knowledge, and no apologies for that, because knowledge is on you, right? But At the same time, we carrying a message, so we don't want to get nobody disgruntled or anything like that. Because it has nothing to do with violence or anything like that. Because I actually saying this out, my face out, my information out. So you have to be like, hey, he doing that and it's sounding like that, so it can't really be that. So just commonsensical thinking, which we find out in. So come on, but I saw the thing go right. Basically, this document says or repeats what I was saying in the video before, and I would not just go through it a bit after we just touch on some of the highlighted topics, comments from the last video, right? So that is one. So we're not in a fight. We're not how to put it. We're not gonna go up against anybody. It's done. The Trinidad and Tobago Corporation was signed on to the United Nations since 1962. So they are party to this also as well, and in agreement with this as well, right? None of them came out and oppose it. None of them going against it. None of them, right? And the battery of lawyers that engaging the indigenous people to give us, how to put it, their scope of interpretation of what is written here, just to give back and forth idea, because we having dialogues now. They understand and agree with this as well. So we'll go through this for a little bit, right? It has a lot. It's about a couple articles, well, a couple of pages, but we go through it as much as we could, and to get the overstanding out as to why the indigenous people has this type of rights, why the indigenous people could say these type of things, because it is done. It was said before. I'm saying it now. You just didn't know that this exists, right? So I'm not bringing it to your attention, in accord with all these things, United Nations, all these declarations, and in accord with the messages that we have now, to bring this message to the people, bring it up to critical mass. So the more people that become aware of it, it's like a flip switch for like how, all right, so like for electrical things and stuff, people who doing electrical, they understand what I'm talking about. So in that trip, and more people are aware, then that's going to change the whole reality, right? So it has nothing to do with violence. I do like violence, and the reason why I have documents and paper. Violence is senseless, and it often leads to unwanted results, right? So yeah. So as we clear up that, it had nothing to do with no fight, so that's done. The next thing is yeah, that was just one of the basic ones, right? Boom. Oh, someone was saying that the citizens, is they don't care about this or they don't care about that. Once there's somebody there who have the citizens' interest on hand and that type of thing. So just like to touch on citizen, a citizen, right? And I posted it into the comment next to the person who said that. A citizen is a corporate fiction, right? So you are civilitas mortus, dead in the eyes of the law. So hence the reason why when this pandemic came about, they come and say like, you have to take this mandate or this bioweapon injection, and people beating up like, oh, I know this and I know that. Because you are chattel property via your receipt called a birth certificate, they could do that to you because you're a citizen. So you boasting that you want to be you want people who are citizens, but they will never have you in mind, because you are property, you are commodity. They see you as a commodity, they use you as commodity, right? And this is not any trust lawyer or anybody like that could confirm what I'm saying. None of them could debunk what I'm saying, right? Because they all know this. So basically, that citizen talk, failure, right? Citizen is a corporation. They subject yourself to cooperative jurisdiction. And I don't want to go into all the legal terms, because this is just a more or less beginner's class, information class, a messenger class. So we won't go into all our legal talk, but it has to do with trust. It has to do with something they call a straw man or a corporate fiction, right? And this is what citizen lines up with, right? Hence the reason why things like a nation and that type of stuff, we tend to move away from, because nation as well fall up under corporate jurisdiction, right? So we deal with things tribal, organic, indigenous. That's who we are, right? So citizen, right? Now all the way. All right. Oh, another thing. What people need to understand about this system that is dying and is moving off, that there are and were pillars that they use to establish and uphold this system, right? And this system is a capitalist system, as I was saying before in the video, and it basically stands upon land control through land theft and debt money. So fiat currency, that will be that what we moving around with. That what we moving around with now and calling money and exchanging. This is fiat currency. This has no value. That's why when they change the last one, you can't go and do nothing with it because they say when it have value and they do say this is not worth nothing. So that's the reality, right? Right. All right. And the next thing is the indigenous people not asking nobody for no handouts, no, we're not begging nobody for nothing. As I say, this is just a declaration of what is already agreed upon here. All right, we don't want nothing, we don't need nothing. Most indigenous people belly real full and they sharing food around with each other, right? So though not because I know Dave and that's the type of content that he carries on his channel, that's what that was supposed to be generated from that video. That video was a message. There was no call for no, nothing like that. So you personally come and know who there is who are talking about. So you don't need the handouts, right? I think you need it more than us soon to come. Right. Right. So someone wanted to get a little idea on a elaboration on the Elizabeth II. I have a video here. Right. Obviously, I didn't make this video. I just play a couple of seconds in it so people could go search it up and tell you what it is. Oh, yeah, no, no one do. I just take it and put it in the chat. You could go look it up for yourself. I realize here in the cooperative mind, a lot of people love to they love to things handed to them rather than to go and research. But the internet and the cell phone you have in your hand is one of the greatest tools they ever.
Where does the royal family live?
Invented.
You might think it's here, but you'd be wrong.
So listen to this if you could hear it.
Here. And their name certainly isn't Windsor. I've made a startling discovery. There's good evidence that's recently come to light that back in the Middle Ages, one of the kings of England was illegitimate. And if that's so, it means that every king and queen of our country since shouldn't by rights have sat on the throne. But if not them, then who? Well, I've traced the real royal family, the bloodline that's been robbed of its inheritance. And I've discovered the person alive today who should be Britain's reigning monarch. This is how it happened. What am I doing making a fuss about a centuries-old skeleton in the royal family's closet? Well, to me, it's all about the rules of the club. The monarchy rests entirely on blood and inheritance. There's an absolutely rigid system for passing on the throne. Prince Charles is first in line, then Prince William, Harry, then Andrew, etc. The chain of power and wealth and privilege depends on two rules. One, you have to be of the royal bloodline, and two, you have to be born legitimate.
Right. So I'll stop it there, and you could go and do your own research and listen through. So to the year, the goddess in the comments, I have the link there for you. So you don't have to do that amount of digging up for it. Right? So when you go through that, you realize that she's a fraud. And then when you go through the documents posted at the bottom of the first video, you realize that someone called John Anthony Hill, they have him listed out. They also have him listed as John Anthony Hall, but his friends call him Muad'Dib. He was the person who won the case and proved in court that Elizabeth II, aka Queen Elizabeth, that's the alias, is a fraud, was and will always be a fraud. I have spoken to him in 2019. There's there's an email here, right? And there's a recent correspondence with me and him, and me reminding him of certain things. So this person actually exists. Also, there is a copy of the International Citizens Arrest Warrant for, I'm not turning the page here, it just goes on. For, look at this name here. You see, Elizabeth Windsor, alias Queen of England. That's what I say, Queen of England, London. This arrest warrant, you see, it says international arrest warrant from the International Common Law Court, valid for 1 year, March the 5th, 2013. So, oh, and this is the actual case between her and Muad'Dib, who they call John Anthony Hill, right? And this is the actual transcript for the case, and it says, where is he not guilty? Okay. Right? So, I didn't drop out of the sky. No, I didn't pop up from La La Land. For you lacking a certain amount of brain cells. Right? This is real and actual. Right? So, this is just continuing into the elaboration of who Elizabeth II is. Something else I'd like to point out for those of you who love research, she also one of her titles. So her full title is Elizabeth Alexandra Mary Windsor, and the Mountbatten and Battenberg are stolen titles. So we have that in brackets, Saxe or Saxe Coburg. The Saxe or Saxe Coburg is what I would like people to pay attention to and trace it back to see where it goes. I could tell it straight off the top of my head, it goes back to Romania. And when they connect who it goes back to in Romania, you'd come up with a fella whose name is Vlad the Impaler. Go look that up. Right? So you'd see who these people are. And truth be told, they're not at the top of the list for the people who actually conjuring this shit up and uh, promoting this on the planet. But that is this class wouldn't be able to handle that kind of information. So we're going again. So we're talking about Elizabeth being a fraud, Elizabeth having no powers to legislate, the voiding of the Trinidad and Tobago Corporation 1976 Act by Kairi Indigenous Peoples, Kairi Elbe Tribe or Clan, right? It's all real. The documents are there. I have the actual original in front of me. I put the links for the links for this document, for the publishing of this document there. The one you'd see there is for Antonio Gutierrez, who is the Secretary General for the United Nations. And one went The Prime Minister that you have called Keith Christopher Rowley. This guy apparently don't know where to sign, but M. Antoine, guy or woman, you're supposed to be signing here, but we take that. We know it's been received. Right? So, all official, right? There's another document that Moadi wanted me to highlight. The guy they call in more John Anthony Hall or John Anthony Hill. He's the author of a document like this that we turned into a postil type for the nation or for the tribe. And it's Regina versus you. This is a lawful argument against jurisdiction. She has no jurisdiction, no authority, none whatsoever. And they're posing a big charade. And there's the verification of the notary. And for those of you who don't know, as we put information out in the public domain, a notary's position, a notary is higher than a judge. A notary is appointed by the president. The president is the governor general. I don't care what they call president, whoever. They are the swap position of the governor general. Right? So that's how Elizabeth Arms is involved in this corporation being set up on our lands, the indigenous people lands, and now they, all of them, because in United Kingdom, the United States Corporation, France, they all sign on to this, including the Trinidad and Tobago Corporation. So they all agree that the indigenous people have these rights that I'm going to go through just now, right? As I just clear my clipboard here as topics to cover, just to keep it a bit more organized, yeah? So we have that. Okay. Right. They wanted an elaboration on how she gained her power. They gain the power the same way they maintaining the power right now. By force, by brutality, by genocide. That's how she gained and amassed all this amount of wealth. And for a higher level party, it has to do with other beings from other star systems in control of the whole play. So, warning, if you're religious, you should leave. If you still think that the planet now called Earth is the only planet that has intelligent life form, you should leave. And anything along those lines, you should leave because this is not for you. Right? So yeah, back to so Elizabeth on them and the whole system is under higher order, and they running the place through land control and debt money. And now that has crashed. It crashed when Biden went back to raise the debt ceiling. He wanted $3.4 trillion. The corporation went into bankruptcy. And as of the 9/11 2020 or 2021, they surrendered. They gave up. All these things came into effect since 2008. We were just going back and forth. We up. We ain't sleeping. We watching a dog and pony show since they declared this. And we are wrong. We taking in a dog and pony show. But now, as you're crashing, we saying, guess what? Before, just like everything they're supposed to do, before they do anything, they're supposed to tell you what they're doing. Before they relinquish the fake and fraudulent hold they had on the lands via all different types of force and energy, they release these. Right? So, as we reached it now, I'll tell you something. There's a difference. When you search our documents and you see more is just to give those who plain stupid in authority compass to find the Mer. Moors are not Mers. There's a difference, right? So you'd see in our constitution also, you'd see it spelled with M double two U's and R and S. That is the etymology of that is actually from Amur. Amur is the tribes and the clans that were here and where they call in the Americas. Now they got that name from Amur or Amaru, the Amaru clan, right? Who occupied around southwest, where the United States Corporation is now, southwest of there, and they moved back and forth. Indigenous people, we were extremely mobile. So they would span and move back and forth all here, all up onto the South American, what they call in the South American plate right now, where Venezuela and all these places is even here, even down the Chile Islands, what they call the Chile Islands. All these clans would have been back and forth here, and we've been mixing with each other for quite some time. As it's also recorded in this novelist book. What's this novelist's name? Francis P. Warren. Francis P. Warren, page 70, right? Just check it out in Search for York, right? We've been sharing our seeds up and down the continent. So tribes that identify with who they are also have links with other tribes that they're not actually identifying with. So we are all cousins, all related, and all here long before 6,000 years ago, the evolution and the mutation of the Muzungu. And we were here during when they tried to wipe us out. And me speaking to you here now is evidence that we're still here. So we're moving into now. So, okay, so now that I can't share the screen, that's a topic I wanted to cover, but I can't share the screen to tell them I do other feature here, because I'm not into this media thing too. So I'll just have a basic, whatever basic is on YouTube. I wanted to go over the actual images of the people that were here before Cristoforo Colombo, and I don't have the share screen feature. So what we do is, that's good. Okay. What we do is I just take the video and put it in the chat. I'll put the pictures in the chat, right? So we can have a visual of why, for people real confused of why I indigenous. Like, wow. Like, I somebody weirdest shit. Copy. So I just put one picture in the chat. So wow, people buy into this propaganda, and it's so. Now I understand what it is, but wow, when you hear it from people, it's like actually wow. All right, so you don't know people were here before Columbus. That shit's scary though. All right, yeah. So the undrip. So right, so I have the document here. We have I have the link for the undrip as well. You put that in the chat also. Let's see. So this is just so people could follow the threads and get the evidence and confirm for themselves. The undrip. Right, so the undrip. Resolution adopted by the General Assembly, United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, General Assembly, guided by the purposes and principles of the Charter of the United Nations, which the Corporation Trinidad and Tobago signed on to, and good faith in the fulfillment of obligations assumed by the states in accordance with the Charter. Right? I just want to get into the meat at one time. It has a whole preamble before it. So, Article 1. Indigenous people have the right to full enjoyment as a collective or as individuals of all human rights and fundamental freedoms as recognized in the Charter of the United Nations, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and international human rights law. Article. So that's a right to full enjoyment. Nobody can question that, whatever make me happy, whatever. No, this, of course, is with, we ain't talking about if you're some type of psychopath and killing people make you happy. That's indigenous people operate by code, and we do carry that type of behavior. That type of behavior is corporate behavior, right? I'd skip, well, let me skip any. All right, let me run through two. In the Article 2, indigenous people and individuals are free and equal to all other peoples and individuals and have the right to be free from any kind of discrimination in the exercise of their rights, in particular, that based on their indigenous origin or identity. So those are you even actually questioning if I'm indigenous or not. This Indigenous Rights Act, you're actually in breach of Article 2. Right? Article 3, indigenous peoples have the right to self-determination. You understand? Indigenous peoples have the right shit. Here. Article 3, self-determination. You understand? Indigenous people have the right to self-determination. By virtue of that right, they freely determine their political status and freely pursue their economic, social, and cultural development. Our political status is we don't have none. Fuck politics. Follow? Article 4. Indigenous peoples, in exercising their right to self-determination, have the right to autonomy of self-government in matters relating to their internal and local affairs, as well as ways and means for financing their autonomous functions. So basically, what all in who sign on to the United Nations, what they all agree unanimously across the planet that they should give us all our shit back. I didn't make this. See the issue here. Right? Go check that number up and then see where this come from if you don't believe there's a document of holding for some of you here in the Trini Corporation. Article 5. Indigenous people have the right to maintain and strengthen their distinct political, legal, economic, social, and cultural institutions while retaining their right to participate fully, if so choose, in the political, economic, social, and cultural life of the state. So, we could choose to be part of politics if we want and still retain the indigenousness. Yeah? But politics, yeah, son, is many blood-sucking insects or organisms. We want no part of that. Right? Every indigenous individual, Article 6, has the right to a nationality. That's why we have a nation, But as things move forward and we move away from that because we don't want that cooperative link, we tribal, we was tribal, the tribe created the nations, and we back to tribal now. Right? Article 7. Indigenous individuals have the right to life, physical and mental integrity, liberty, and security of person. That's one out Article 7. Number 2 out Article 7. Indigenous peoples have the collective right to live in freedom, peace, and security as distinct peoples and shall not be subjected. All right, let me start this one over because this one is important. Indigenous peoples have the collective right to live in freedom, peace, and security as distinct peoples, not falsely assimilated because you think I look like what the current narrative for people who look like me is. Yeah, understand? Distinct peoples and shall not be subjected to any act of genocide. An officer of the corporation kidnapping or putting their hands on an indigenous person is an act of genocide. We respect all indigenous, all law enforcement people because, as I said before, most of them indigenous and don't know. But for you, those of you who don't know, we had the notary seal just to inform you on your process, and we have the United Nations that your government, right, sign on to that say that what you think you could do, you can't. For the simple reason that one, we could deal with Elizabeth one side, that's one, but two, the indigenous people's land is this land. Anywhere on the planet where they stand. You can't be renting from we and want to charge we for something. Right? Just get that concept in. So this is something for law enforcement to go through too as well. We are now working up the rest of stuff to get to this new to inform and give notice to this new commissioner just out of nobility, right? Being a noble and just for information purposes, that's why we're doing it. Right? So it is here. Any act of genocide or any other act of violence, including forcibly removing children of the group to another group or to anywhere else, for that matter. That what I added. Right? Article 8. Indigenous peoples and individuals have the right not to be subjected to forced assimilation. You want to arrest me and tell me so-called arrest. When you tell me touch an indigenous person is kidnapping. You see that again. Anytime you touch an indigenous person without permission, it's kidnapping. We have scheduler fees for them type of things, and the compensation for them type of things is 190 tons of gold. Yes, that ridiculous like that for a reason. So it's to bring awareness, right? Any form. Oh, okay. So right. This is now where your prime minister is supposed to be acting on that they're not acting on. Hence the reason why we calling this stuff out. And I could say what I was saying in the video before. State shall provide effective mechanisms for prevention of and redress for the following. E. Any action which has the aim or effect of depriving them of their integrity as distinct peoples, holding on to them and saying, come, there we go, so arresting you for this and that or whatever, or of their cultural values or ethnic identities. B. Any action which has the aim or effect of dispossessing them of their lands, territories, or resources. So when I say we were back we land, or I ain't say we were back we land, I want to tell them come off the land. That's what I said. Right? Dismantle, come off. When I say that, wait, what kind of crazy thing is that? What kind of antichrist thing is that? Look at here. Right? Any form of forced population transfer which has the aim or effect of violating the sea, which has any aim or effect of violating or undermining any of their rights. So You can see with just the flow of this document, it just piling up on and reinforcing all the rights, just piling up on it. So that's just how this whole document goes. Any form of forced assimilation or integration. So if you meet me and you write me down, I tell you I'm indigenous and you write me down as African. You understand? Or Afro Trinidadian. You're in violation. And subject to penalties under international law. Right? Any form of propaganda designed to promote or incite racial or ethnic discrimination directed against them. Right? So if we go back through the comments, you see how much of these get breached, right? And it's on record because Facebook is a viable information publishing platform. So we can just pull it up and carry it and take it to court. How much money to bring up? And you understand? That's just the reality of who he is, or who we are, who he is, we are, wherever, right? Article 9. Indigenous peoples and individuals have the right to belong to an indigenous community or nation in accordance with the traditions and customs of the community or nation concerned. No discrimination, no discrimination of any kind may arise from the exercise of such right. So you think you even say nation and you want to falsely assimilate me under corporation, we have a problem with that. Right? I want to get to the part with lands. There's people all about this land, they're like, oh, we can say that. Well, yeah, why I can say it. Oh yeah, Article 12. This just leading up to it now. Article 12, 1. Indigenous people have the right to manifest, practice, develop, and teach their spiritual and religious traditions, customs, and ceremonies, the right to maintain, protect, and have access in privacy to their religious and cultural sites, like where the so-called Red House is sitting on top of some of our cousins' bones. That's a burial site, right? That should be removed. If you're honoring this and you sign on to this, and when the Venezuelan thing was going on around the world and everybody was teaming up against Maduro and saying what he was doing to people and thing, and you say what Trinidad position is neutral, right? And if we are being snubbed, and I'm just quoting Dr. Keith Christopher Rowley, and I dare somebody to prove this wrong. If it is that we are being snubbed for standing steadfastly by the United Nations Charter, history will absolve us. I ain't so good as them men who just mock him, but yeah, that's what you see. So they stand steadfastly by the United Nations Charter, but the Red House with the Parliament in on top on one of the burial sites. Good. States shall seek. Yeah, son, we don't ask you for nothing. You are to seek to enable an access and or repatriation of ceremonial objects and human remains in their possession through fair, transparent, and effective mechanisms developed in conjunction with the indigenous peoples concerned. And this goes on and songs like this for a long while till it's finished. I want to get to the part with lands because I want to run on that. Yeah. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Article 25. Wow. That didn't hit in my head about this. Right. So, Article 25. 24 start up with. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Yeah. 24 is a real good one. they passed some marijuana legislation in the parliament, and according to sources, it's for the big boys then to get through, right? Here what going on. Indigenous peoples have the right to their traditional medicines and to maintain their health practices, including the conservation of their vital medicinal plants, marijuana, animals, and minerals. Indigenous individuals also have the right to access, without any discrimination, to all social and health services. That is Article 24.1, Article 24.2. Indigenous individuals have an equal right to enjoyment of the highest attainable standard of physical and mental health. States shall take the necessary steps with a view to achieving progressively the full realization of this right. So this is like a blood clot order. The order in states, and the states shall. There's an order. There's an order they all agree on. Right, let me go to the lands now. Article 25. Indigenous peoples have the right to maintain and strengthen their distinctive spiritual relationship with their traditionally owned or otherwise occupied and used lands, territories, waters, and coastal seas and other resources. I would like to add air in that too, because they're traversing by air and doing one set of bullshit by air, chemtrails and that type of fuckery, right? And the air open and it blew into all indigenous people, crops and all that type of thing, right? And to uphold their responsibilities to future generations in this regard, right? Article 26, 1. Indigenous peoples have the right to lands, territories, and resources which they have traditionally owned. This is some serious shit, yo. You understand? Indigenous peoples have the right to the lands, territories, and resources which they have traditionally owned, occupied, or otherwise used or acquired. So dismantle this shit and come off with land is right in the tune with Article 26.1. Right? Because guess what's going on? You're on land we use, used to use, right? Or occupying, right? Traditionally, right? And they sign on to this. And this just, no, this doing make news. One pack of rubbish is make the news. This do make news, right? And everybody want to think about who they could tell who they indigenous and that type of thing, but nobody don't know about this. So this is why that message was sent out. This is why this video is being done. This is why others will come, right? As the questions come up and we have questions to answer, because I think I finished with questions there for now. And I think I finished with this for now because I don't want the video to go too long, right? But this is what is agreed upon. I had no part to play in this. All I did was find it and we distributing the information and telling you what is already agreed upon, what is already existing, and we just out here announcing it. Seeing? So give thanks for casual talk. Actually, that's just casually reading, but give thanks for the information same way still, because now people are referenced and I'm just talking off the top of my head. Yeah, but look the links in the chat, right? Go check that yourself. And hopefully you come to the realization of where we at now. So when I say the government over, it's been a wrap. It's been over. The overs. And when I say dismantle this stuff and come off the land, I'm speaking to the corporation. I mean speaking to Rowley. Rowley is your employee. By the way, I wanted to touch on that. You vote this guy in, right? He is your employee, right? And he telling you what to do. That's why indigenous people, deal with them politics and them type of thing there, right? So These are the evidence within the chat. Any questions? I'd say it, you could build from here, but I think I cover all the responses to the in otherwise intentionally or not intentionally edited video to create a certain stir. But anyway, the drop we could defend it. I had no way you could ask him. I didn't see the video before it come out, so I didn't know it was how it was looking. I didn't know who it would agitate. And I tend to be good on them things and be on top of them things, but Dave know my standard. But it's not no scene because I know I could defend it anyway, drop. Right? So go have a look at these documents, see if yourself what I'm speaking of, see that everything I'm speaking of is real, see that the people who pose into our power don't have no power, including you officers. We counting on you. Actually, we're looking for your support in terms of getting yourself educated. So we want you to support us in wanting you to get yourself educated about us and about you. Because as I said before, you look just like us. We respect plenty of you honest, plenty of you really, you are telling me, basic police officer who is a youth man. Them just want to live life. You see them when they're doing it, they want to live life. Them don't want nobody to run on them, don't want to be shooting behind nobody. Yo, and them are just some crime to one time. These brothers were looking like me and you, that senselessly taking one another out. And I understand that how the street life is run. I was born in a zone where no, it wasn't like that when I was around. So, but it is like that now, and it's just basically because people don't know the great trick that is being played on them for them to even look at somebody that resemble them and had a great amount of hate for them. Right? That's not yours. That's corporate behavior. Get rid of that shit. You understand? Because you're only lessening down the people that look like me and you. And well, we really can't lessen down. So, but what I'm saying is, you get a picture. We have work to do other than taking one another out. Right? This why talking about bigger than the grievances that you have with each other, because we have stuff that we own, and because we're busy quarreling with one another, other people just sneaking up and taking it away and playing like, oh, every now and again the government cutting some ribbon to do some project on we land. I know they're killing one another horse. This not making sense. You understand? And I respect the street code. You understand? And the street code come off of the indigenous code, because that's how we now could carry oral tradition from generation to generation, because it was a code that end up now in the street code. But it was more respectful than that. You was, and in older heads would tell you how them games used to run. Right? It was a business, it was about business, it was not about losing life. Right? So I can't vex with nobody kind of in that position. I don't know what you're faced with, right? And if at the end of the your life is yours, you have to defend it. But we could pull things back. We could take a dead bread back, take this information in and let that replace these things. Because listen, I alone ain't going to benefit, and I alone don't want to benefit from what happening here. I alone already benefiting, but you could benefit too. You look like me and you, they tell you you're African. Africa is not an African word. Right? Let me just get real. Just be on the beginner shit, right? So we are indigenous to the planet. We have a lot of work to do. We have important stuff to do. So wherever grievance you are, killing your brethren, or killing somebody looking like you, it might be a brethren, but killing somebody looking like me and you, ain't making no sense. Yeah? Violence against women. Wow. When they thought you'd see everything, apparently like they want to tell you like you ain't seen nothing yet. Yo, let me tell you something, Jed. Females was on the planet before males. Right? As I said in my last video, the oldest fossil defined is female. Right? Scientifically, everybody could go through and check. I have papers prepared for that. They just off the top of my head. Females have been on the planet before males. They have glands that carry semen, or originally used to carry semen, sperm, break, whatever you will call it, right? The gland is called the Bartholin's gland. It's at the both sides of the entrance of the vagina, right? Check that shit out and see the kind of power a female used to have. And then, they tell no man walk in the face of the earth, no man We ain't talking about other beings. That beings walking the face of the earth that didn't come through women. But no man, no being that looked like me and you came here outside of the principle of the uterus. Right? So we understand that women suffer the consequences of cooperation, induction, and indoctrination, and the behavior a certain type of way. But I see some, killing them is next level shit, man. Right? Beating them down to a pulp is next level shit house. Right? And then now, half the men them that doing this, they probably not even gay. So then you're going back and sleep with a woman that. So the things that type of behavior don't make sense because it's not your behavior. That's cooperative behavior, Jed. Allow them thing. The time for that gone. You understand? And the time now is identity, critical mass awareness, mental shift paradigm. You understand? And raising in vibrational frequency. You understand? And the females has the most important part to play. Right now, listen, we in sector 24 for higher level shit talk now. We in sector 24, there's a female planet. Female forces govern this planet. My tribe is governed by a female tribunal, right? Even though I was the chief, right? So females' energy is needed. Females starting to wake up now. They need to be protected. Allow the cooperative behavior, allow the cooperative indoctrination, allow the cooperative rat race feel. They build it like that to be frustrated. So when a woman, girlfriend, or whatever tell us something, you're so frustrated to the point where they ain't thinking about what you're doing. Only after you lash out, you realize, yeah, I know it had them type. I never do it, right? But I know some people I hear that kind of explanation already from working in the hospital. I've been there for, I working in that field. I used to work in that field for about 15 years. Those who know me could verify wherever, but you just hear that type of explanation and realize, yo, people frustrated, Jed. Right? That is why the message come out, there's your freedom. You're indigenous if you look like me. We could tell you how to do it, right? We could help you do it, right? But we want critical mass awareness. And that is why that first message went out. The second one, there's the third one now. And this wait for. No other purpose. So all the imagination in the comments about fight and stand up and yo, that's so yesterday done. The new revolutionary them we don't fight. We use pen and paper and mind. Right? So give thanks for the casual talk same way. This is Chief Nanya Menwab Kyrie LB of the Kairi LB clan here on Kairi. You commonly know it by the cooperative handle. They try to force on it, called Trinidad and Tobago. Recording this message live to you with good intentions. Take it. Signing out, Tempter.